Have you ever dreamed of owning your own private island? A place where you could get away and relax all by yourself? Well, you don't have to spend millions of dollars on a tropical paradise. There are actually plenty of islands for sale all over the world for about as much or even less than what some people would spend on a house. The only problem is, the cheaper the island, the more likely that it has some glaring flaws. You would be surprised by the shocking and creepy things that realtors are hiding about these islands that are seemingly a steal. From a curse that spans over 100 years to over 50 dead bodies that were only recently removed, these islands hold fascinating secrets. Want to know which islands to stay away from when hunting for your personal paradise? Keep watching to see 10 islands that nobody wants to buy. Interact with us. Subscribe and hit the notification button to be notified when we upload more content. Don't forget to leave a like and comment below. Also, feel free to suggest any type of videos you would like to see on this channel. Thanks! Getter's Island. Getter's Island is part of the Delaware River near the town of Easton, Philadelphia. The island is for sale for $150,000, which is not much to the kinds of people that typically look to buy islands. And it has beautiful lush forests covering 5.8 acres of land that is steeped in rich history from colonial America. However, that history may be part of the reason that no one will buy the island. In 1833, Charles Getter, whom the island is named after, murdered his wife on the island, and he was consequently hung for his crimes also on the island. The rope broke during Getter's public execution, so he had to be hanged twice, making it a gruesome scene. Getter's Island is thought to be one of the most haunted places in Easton, and although the family that previously lived there said that they had no issues with the property, many people are averse to the idea of buying Getter's Island. Motu Matatahi. Motu Matatahi seems to have it all. This island in French Polynesia is only an hour away from the nearest airport by boat, is surrounded by clear blue waters and covered with sandy beaches and tropical vegetation. And it only costs around $200,000, which is a steal for a tropical island. What might discourage potential buyers is the reputation that French Polynesia has. The region is well known for its high levels of pollution and radiation left over from French nuclear testing which took place there in the 1930s. People that live in French Polynesia are affected by the radiation to this day, and it results in high amounts of illness, particularly cancer. French Polynesia also has rising levels of pollution specifically regarding water, noise, and light pollution, making the area unpleasant to live in. Even islands that are located miles away from the mainland are affected. So while Motu Matatahi seems like a nice island to vacation on, making it your home could have deadly consequences. Daxa. Daxa is an uninhabited Croatian island in the Adriatic Sea. The island went up for sale in 2013 for €2 million, and the price has since dropped significantly despite the quaint buildings, rocky cliffs, and beautiful forests of Daxa. This is because the people that know the history of Daxa would rather not live there. A massacre occurred on the island in 1944 when 53 men who were accused of collaboration with Nazi Germany were taken to Daxa and executed. The remains of the people executed were left on the island unburied until 2010 when they were removed and finally put in graves. People that live near Daxa seem to live like the island does not exist. Fishermen avoid it, and tourists cannot find a boat tour that will go near it because it is believed to be very haunted by the spirits of those that were executed there. So while the island is picturesque, historic, and relatively cheap, it will likely continue to go unsold for a very long time. The Pitcairn Islands. The Pitcairn Islands are one of the least populated territories in the world. Despite the beautiful green forests, rocky red cliffs, and bright blue waters of the islands, nobody wants to move to these islands, and the inhabitants are all descendants of the original British settlers that landed on the uninhabited islands in 1789. The four islands, Pitcairn, Henderson, Ducie, and Owino, are more than 3,000 miles from any continent, and they can only be reached by a 32-hour boat ride. As of 2019, the islands have a total population of only 50 people. It can be very expensive for residents to get things we consider basic, such as cell phone and internet service. Despite being so remote, the island has another reason that is not an attractive place to move to. In 2004, 13 men from the Pitcairn Islands, which is a third of the male population, were charged of sexual assault. In 2010, the mayor of Pitcairn faced 25 charges for child pornography, and he was convicted in 2016. These are terrible marks on the face of an island that is seen as having a small and safe community. Tillamook Island. Tillamook Island is less of an island and more of a giant rock that sits off of the shore of Oregon. It is home to a picturesque lighthouse, but this island is anything but a perfect place to reside or even visit. The island would be difficult to sail out to dock your boat at, and it would also be a place that you would not want to stay at for very long. This is due to the giant and powerful waves that crash over the island and often engulf the entire lighthouse. The lighthouse no longer works, but once did. The lighthouse originally cost about $125,000 in today's money to build it, but it is now selling for $50,000. The price has dropped significantly from the $500,000 it was originally listed for because nobody wants to buy this lighthouse that's prone to being drenched. Chandler Island. This island, just off the coast of Maine, boasts an absolutely gorgeous and rustic landscape. Chandler Island is relatively small with an area of about an acre, but it has a problem that makes it pretty undesirable to anyone looking to buy their own island. The island is prone to flooding every time the tide rises, and at high tide, more than half of the island can be covered. This reduces the island down to about the size of an average suburban yard, which would make it pretty undesirable for anyone looking to build a residence on the island. Luckily, the island is reportedly easy to access at any time as it is only about 80 miles from the nearest major city, and at low tide, the water gets so shallow that the island can be walked to from shore. Due to the island's considerable shrinking problem, Chandler Island is selling for only $40,000, but still, no one will buy it. McGibbon Island. McGibbon Island sits on the St. Johns River of New Brunswick, Canada. It is a rustic little island that is covered in lush vegetation. This island is the perfect spot to kayak out to and have your own private place to camp and have some time to enjoy nature all by yourself or with your close family and friends. This secluded little piece of nature could be yours for less than $30,000. The only problem with McGibbon Island is that it floods every spring. Unlike Chandler Island, the flooding does not submerge most of the island but the whole entire thing. A lot of the time, it is impossible to step foot on McGibbon Island for several months straight during the spring due to the constant flooding. Not having access to the island that you bought for up to a quarter of the year is a pretty big turnoff for anyone looking to spend that much money on a piece of property. Fort Carroll. Fort Carroll is a man-made island and abandoned military sea fort located just south of Baltimore that has a unique hexagonal shape. The fort was last used in World War II as a firing range and a checkpoint for vessels. It was abandoned afterwards, and the island has only been bought once in 1958 by Baltimore attorney Benjamin Eisenberg, who intended to build a casino on the island but never followed through with his plans. Since then, major building projects have been prohibited on the island due to the wildlife that has made it home on the island, particularly the seagulls, herons, and other birds that use it as a nesting site. Fort Carroll is also listed on the National Register of Historic Places, which means that the original fort that still stands on the island must be maintained. Despite Fort Carroll's price dropping significantly since it was last purchased, it seems that no one wants to buy this one-of-a-kind historic island. Little Rocky Island. Little Rocky Island in Nova Scotia, Canada, certainly lives up to its name, as the island is not only little, but also rocky. This 8-acre island has a beautiful shoreline and is covered in a thick forest of pine trees. The underdeveloped terrain leaves room for a cottage or villa of the owner's choosing to be placed right along the shore with a gorgeous view of the water. The placement of the island also protects it from strong winds and storms that may otherwise wreak havoc on anything built there. This seemingly perfect island is for sale for $75,000. However, there is one part of the name that Little Rocky Island does not live up to. Little Rocky Island is only an island during high tide. When the tide is low, a strip of land is revealed that connects Little Rocky Island to the mainland, which makes it no longer an island. While this property has its perks, the lack of total privacy makes it unpopular with those searching for their own private island. Gaia Island. Gaia Island is a small island in Italy that is so close to shore you could swim out to it. However, no one wants to buy this charming little island because it is thought to have a curse upon it. There is a long history of poor fate befalling the residents of Gaia Island. The island's very first owner mysteriously disappeared, and the next person that considered buying the island crashed into its rocky shore and died. Ever since then, the island's many owners have faced financial ruin, committed suicide, been murdered, had heart attacks, drowned in the sea, and faced many other tragedies in their families, including deaths and kidnappings. Some believe that the island is haunted with the tortured souls of the previous residents, while others just think it has a bad vibe. But either way, no one wants to buy this island. Because of the bad fortune that has often come to those that have bought the island, it has been turned into a natural preserve that is no longer for sale, but is still open to the public. Now you know what to watch out for when island hunting. Beware of shrinking, haunted, and pollution or bad weather-prone islands. Did any of these islands seem unbearable to you? Or do you think some of them might not be too bad? Let us know what you think about these unwanted islands in the comments below.